Hi, everybody. I'm David Barragan from Borde Akitek츠. My partners and I born, live, and work in Quito, Ecuador. Let me introduce them. Pascual Gangotena, Maria Luisa Borja, Esteban Benavides. We run the studio since 2007. We want to thank the curator for the invitation to this talk and to the exhibition. We are glad and honored to be part of Seoul Biennial of Architecture and Urbanism 2021. Today, I'm going to present our resources. And before to understand what is this about, I need to introduce you dark matter and dark energy. Briefly, the scientific community knows less than 10% about how the universe works. That means there is more of 90% that nobody knows about the universe. But independently of the percentage that the scientist knows about the universe keeps on running. All of this mystery is well known as dark matter and dark energy. So dark matter and dark energy are something that nobody really understands about, but is there and move the universe. When you see our projects and compare the relationship between construction cost versus built area, something is missing. Because the relationship money versus square meters is not accurate for a studio like ours. We are always working with people participation, good exchange, and different kind of strategies where money loses its relevance. In a neoliberal world that bases everything in money values, nothing can escape the concept of money measure. However, our projects have tons of resources that cannot be measured by money. So the first insight that we are aware in our practice is resources are not only money, and money is one of many other resources that you have or not in order to do a project. So keeping the idea that dark matter and dark energy and everything that we don't know but exists to keep the universe running, we use the idea of dark resources to talk about everything that we cannot buy or measure by money. Just a simple example, we can pay the willing of a communitarian leader who struggles day by day to improve his or her community. And without this willing, it's impossible to do anything in this community, even if we will have tons of money. That resources is always related to people. And it's about collective action for a common good. And from our practice, is about of underpinning any kind of ongoing social process through architecture and making it happen easy together. The Three Hopes story began in 2009 with an expectation of 36 square meter classroom and a construction budget of $200. It sounds crazy, and actually it was. There was only $5.55 per square meter. However, the teacher told us all of the parents are able to cooperate in the construction, and they actually know how to build because they build their own houses. Also told us that in this communitarian land, they can use their natural resources like timber, bamboo, and any kind of straw for common good. And finally, not least, they have no electricity. Therefore, the conclusion was very easy. We need to design something that can be built with basic tools. We need to design something that can be built with local materials and with the people's skills. Something that can take advantage of vernacular construction. Something that can involve as much people as possible in the construction. Something that can push their limits up. And after 10 years of exchange and many construction journeys, the school became the center of the community. As an architect, we grew up in parallel with the community. In one way or another, their resources make possible the impossible. In 2016, a 7.8 Richter scale earthquake hit the Ecuador coast. So we wonder as an architect how we can address any kind of support for the reconstruction. A few months later, Quito held the UN Habitat 3 conference for sustainable cities. We designed the German pavilion as a material storage with a second life in mind since the beginning. So after Habitat 3, all of the elements will be turned into a dwelling prototype for rural areas hit by the earthquake. This big event that talked about sustainable cities didn't think about what would happen in the end of the 5 days expo. Almost everything went to the landfill. In the meantime, people were still living in temporary camps organized by the government and supported by the international cooperation. By the way, all of the support was focused on the outskirts of the urban areas. People in the countryside built their own shelters, like this family that received the prototype. This prototype costs the same that the government housing facilities. However, the quality of life that you have in this house is impossible to compare with the quality of life in the government projects. The big, massive social housing reconstruction projects on the coast are isolated and detached of the urban fabric, and there are a lack of any kind of public facilities. If everything is business, if everything is about how to make more money, there is no possibility to achieve any kind of social transformation. We need to think more scopes of action. Dark resources can make real the unthinkable, like the possibility to build a house with live trees. We designed this house using the same trees that the Andean indigenous used to build their fences. Fences well known as alive fences, because the trunks are cut and planted in the new positions. It sounds like magic, and actually it is. This tree has the property to grow up new roots from the bottom of the trunk and not to grow up the height anymore. That's why Andean indigenous used to call them as alive fences. The columns don't need foundations, and instead, to maintain periodically the exposed good in this house, you need to water the columns. So sun and rain are not enemies anymore of the good. The whole house was split into 3 pavilions, using the garden as a circulation. There are places where people do not know if they are garden or a house built by the garden. In the end, this house is a tool for his owner that enables him to explore new and enjoyable ways of habitat. The corona shows us how fragile and unbalanced is our world. For example, right now, the trade system based on cargo containers is shaking in the ports. We need to reduce the dependence of external goods and improve and enhance the local supply chain. So maybe it's time to back to the basics. It's time to reconnect ourselves with our territory, to depend less from abroad, to develop a collective empathy, to build together and transfer the knowledge. Maybe it's to find our resources instead of the irrational extraction of natural resources that human has as a common practice. Thanks.